It's my favorite evening. I'm pacing around the floor. Got southern woods and waters gonna take me out the door. Got coffee on a perkin. I'm about to have some fun. They'll have my mind chasing some critter on the run. Bring it on, southern woods and waters. Make me hear that sound of a fish that's breaking water or the bawling of some hounds. Make me smell that river mud, feel clean air on my face. Bring it on, southern woods and waters. Show me that special place.
Probably about 11-inch crappie.
Good evening, everybody. I want to welcome each and every one of y'all to this week's edition of Southern Woods and Waters. Really been looking forward to tonight's show, guys. It's getting closer and closer to the August velvet hunt, and y'all know that's my favorite time of year coming up on us. And tonight, I'm joined live in studio by a good friend of mine that I've recently met and really grown to like a lot. And this guy is the top of the line, in my opinion, when it comes to the archery business. And I've got Mr. Tracy Taylor in here with me tonight from Taylors Archery. They're down in Tullahoma, Tennessee. And Tracy, we've been down and visited the shop and everything, and it's absolutely top notch. You guys, y'all carry it all and you do it all.
Appreciate it.
What all brands, bows, do you guys carry? Y'all carry about 6 or 7, don't you?
Actually, we got Bowtech, Diamond, Matthews, Mission, and Hoyt.
There you go. And crossbows. People come down and get crossbows from you and things like that. So you guys are going to learn a lot tonight from Tracy. We're going to be picking his brain. You can see he's got his stage prop with him, and we're going to be talking about just some preseason maintenance tips, some things you guys need to look at as far as making sure you're safe before you get in the woods. You don't just want to go grab your bow out of the closet, you know, next weekend and pull it out of the case and take it to the woods, because not only could it end up being a bad day for you hunting wise, it could end up being a dangerous situation.
Exactly.
And I actually found something today that we'll talk a little bit more about later, but you know, had I you know, the wrong way that went down, I could have had a dangerous situation myself. So, but first, what we're going to do, we're going to take you guys back over to the farm again tonight. We've got a little segment that I want to share with y'all, and what I'm going to be explaining is how I use natural cover to bring more deer to my properties. It's not so much about food. You hear food all the time, and we do a little bit of food, but I'm more of a providing natural cover has worked a lot better for me, and I'm going to show you guys how I like to create deer travel routes through that cover and how I use it to my advantage. So let's go on over to the farm and check out this week's segment on that. Over the last several seasons, we've filmed more than a few successful deer hunts out of this spot where I'm standing at right now. And I've been asked a lot of questions about why the field looks so odd behind me here and what we do with these strips. So I want to talk a little bit about how we set up our fields on our hunt spots and why we do what we do. There is a method to the weird looking strips. So what I'll do as we move throughout these next few weeks, the area that I'm standing in right now is about 1/4 acre cleared area that I will plant in food plot, in just a little hidey hole food plot. It'll have chicory and wheat, maybe some peas in there, some winter peas, and that'll be about it. And up and down these strips, we'll do the same thing. We'll have the same thing planted in these strips. And everything around it will leave grown up, and just we're going to let it continue to go throughout the summer and let it get as tall as we can let it get. What that does is we take, and we're going to show you here in just a minute, how these roads interconnect inside all of this tall stuff that wraps down through here. Now, this is about a 25-acre field, and in this field we have got an interwoven system of trails and single wide, just 4-foot wide cuts that we make just for the deer to travel. And they travel on them quite a bit. It's something that has worked for us for a long time now. And by leaving the growth grown up around these trails and these setups, the deer feel comfortable standing in there. They'll come in there in the daylight and they'll feed. The food is just enough to slow them down long enough for you to be able to evaluate the deer and see what it is, or maybe get a shot at it. And the reason I do several of the strips is so that as the deer passes through the field, I've got several different opportunities to be able to assess the deer and see if it is indeed one that I'm after. And you know, it gives me several opportunities for them to come out into the clearing and me to be able to have a possible shot at them or get a better look at them. So that's what we do with these systems, is we cut through the tall stuff and leave as much cover as possible. Food is great for deer, but there's a lot of food out there available for the deer already. They've survived for a long, long time without us feeding them. So I do some food, but it's more so to slow the deer down and stop that deer in front of myself or whoever I have hunting with me at the time, to be able to, again, just get a nice clean shot at the deer, or be able to evaluate the deer better, whatever we want to do. The food allows that to happen. And it also gives a place where my does continuously want to be. The does come in here and they feed heavily starting in here, you know, probably early November. They really start feeding on our food plots a lot heavier then, and they come off of a more stricter diet on acorns. They kind of spend their September and most of their October on acorns. And then after October, when they quit feeding on the acorns so much, they'll start getting in here and eating in these food plots. So the more does that I can have in here feeding in my plots and out in front of these blinds, the better off I am during the rut. So really what you're trying to do and accomplish in what we do here is you're trying to attract as many does to the area as possible. And we have quite a few does that are in here with fawns this year, and we do every year because they feel comfortable in here and they know that there's plenty of food around, there's plenty of natural food. And then here in a little while we'll be adding some green fields and some things that they can kind of browse on throughout the winter, and they know that that's here year in and year out every year. We've always put it in for them, and so the does kind of tend to hang around in this area quite a bit, especially around the rut period, and that's exactly what brings your bucks in here. So being on a smaller property like we usually are, that kind of gives us the advantage. A lot of people think it's really the food, but it's not the food as much as it is the cover, allowing plenty of cover in here for your does to be able to have their fawns safely in the summertime and rear them here, but also then just enough cover that will hold the deer in here year round, that they feel comfortable to bed on your property. And in our case, we have some water on this property, and we'll also add a little bit of food. And when you add all of those together on the same place, whether it's 40 acres or 400 acres, you're going to increase the amount of deer that are using the area. So that's what we do to kind of ensure that we have a good rut every year on these farms, is we just provide as much cover for the deer, as much natural cover as possible, and then habitat edge. And edge is kind of what I'm talking about by cutting these fields and leaving the high spots and high ridges, because this causes habitat change or edge. And that edge is something that deer like to have. They like habitat change, and they a lot of times will travel along these edges, which is why we have so much success with them traveling these roadways and the wood lines along where we've cut trails through the tall grown-up brush. So they feel the comfort of having the brush around them and plenty of bedding cover. However, the ease of movement with the trails cut down through there for them to be able to travel and get back and forth through the path of least resistance. All right, now I'm standing here right now at one of our blinds, and this is one of the sniper hide blinds, and we've hunted out of these for several years now. And I leave these out year round. Now I try to make sure that it's in a shady spot, because if it's in too bright a sun, it can fade the blind over time. Any blind can fade in time, but if we keep it out of the sun like I have this one, they last a long time without really fading. And I've got it set just a little bit low. You can see the blind is actually set up to be below this field that I'm standing in just a little bit, and it's kind of brushed in. The way we set a blind, we don't want to cut an area out and then go in there and set a blind. What we usually will do is go in the woods, set the blind, and then cut our way out, away from it, so that it'll stay as concealed as possible. And as it sits here long enough, the deer get used to them, and they'll walk right past them. We have a lot of success out of these blinds, and Richard and I filmed some pretty good hunts out of this one last year, out of this same blind. What I want want to show you now, though, is what's around this blind and why we have it set up where we have it set up. Because just like the last stand we showed you, this one there's a specific reason that it's set up where it's at, and we're going to show you why. And I'm going to walk you down here where this is going to be part of the same system that we were showing you from the other blind, the same road system that's cut throughout all this tall brush. And I'm going to walk you out in front here and just kind of show you guys what it is that we used to have these deer cross in these particular areas and why this blind is set up where it's at. As you can tell right now, I'm standing in a four-way intersection, and we're right at 30 yards out in front of the blind right now. What happens is these deer, they come in and they'll intersect and cross on these roads that we've mowed directly across from one another. And right here, there's actually two trails that split off the end of this road, the road that we're on, which again will be planted, and then a double crossing right here at 30 yards. So the goal is that the deer will travel down these roadways and end up eventually either at our 20-yard trail, our 30-yard trail, or we have a 45-yard trail. And that way, it puts them at least close to within bow range as they come across through here. And we have the opportunity at that point to be able to try to get a shot as they cross through. It's a great and productive way of being able to hunt off the ground during bow season. A lot of folks that know me know that I'm not a big tree stand kind of guy, so I like to hunt off the ground, and I've developed ways that have worked very well for me over the years of being able to hunt off the ground or at a very low height, because I'm just not a height person. So this is how we like to set up, and it brings these deer right through here on these crossings for us. And this past season we had a lot of luck right here at this very same one, and we're already set up for it this year and looking forward to being able to hunt these bucks again at this crossing right here in these roads.
All right, welcome back to the studio, everybody. I hope that helped a lot of you guys out just getting set up for the start of the season, and got several more great shows for you guys over the next few weeks that we're going to be sharing some tips. I've got some stuff from Anthony Landers coming up, and my buddy Wes Stone's going to be down here. You know old Wes.
Yeah,
I know
I do.
he come up there and got a bow from you this past season. So we got some good shows coming up to help you guys get ready for the deer season. We're going to go over right now and do this week's weekly wild game forecast, and it's being sponsored by the folks over at Wilson Bank and Trust. You guys can stop in at one of 28 Middle Tennessee locations and let them take care of all your banking and financial needs. And they want to let you know that the savings for the school savings program, this year they're not going to be able to go around to the schools like they normally do, but they're still going to be running the program just like normal. Be sure to ask them about that and how you can get your elementary student up to high school student involved in that. All right, well, Tracy, the forecast, we were just talking about deer hunting a while ago, and you were showing me some trail camera pictures. The deer hunting forecast is looking really good for this year, isn't it, buddy? I mean, the way that the populations have been over the last few years and have grown, I know definitely in our area in Middle Tennessee, I've never seen as many deer as I see now, but not just as many, but the quality of the deer that we're seeing.
Quality steadily improving.
It is. It's gotten better and better, and I know in the areas that you hunt, I mean, you showed me a deer a while ago that was just 15, 20 years ago, even a deer like that you just wouldn't have heard of it. If you did, you wouldn't have believed it. You know?
I wouldn't pass that deer in the Midwest.
That's right. You know, we're coming right along. There's people that still travel around and go to other states to hunt and things, and nothing wrong with that. I do that myself from time to time, but you can stay right here in the state of Tennessee now, and in my opinion, have some of the most quality deer hunting anywhere in the nation, especially in the South.
And it's getting better.
For sure. It's getting better and better. So looking really good on that, guys. A couple more weeks, you'll be able to get after them on the velvet hunt, and that's going to be a big time. I know that if the cold front, I say cold front, but if it'll get down in the 80s and you can get some lows where in the high 50s, low 60s, people are probably going to have a pretty good velvet hunt, you know, and that's kind of what we're looking at from the outstanding forecast. So hopefully that's going to work out great. Fish are still biting good. We've had a lot of luck fishing for them at night. And you can catch them during the day, but if you want to get out and relax and not sweat and catch some fish,
that's me.
Get out there at night and do it. We've really been doing well doing that the last few weeks. We've caught crappie, we've caught sauger, we've caught stripe, you name it. We've put them in the boat with those lights the last few weeks. Guys, remember to follow us on Facebook. Keep up with us on Facebook. We're going to be down this weekend at the Hope Outdoors Catfish Tournament. We'll be doing some updates from there for you guys and some giveaways. I'm sure there's going to be another giveaway coming up here pretty soon as we move into deer season. So check us out at swwtv.com as well. You can find all of our past episodes and our links to all of our sponsors. We're going to go take a quick break. When we come back, it'll be time for this week's Pictures of the Week and some more Southern Woods and Waters.